Welcome to Untold Physio Stories podcast, your perfect commute resource with physio failures, successes, interesting cases, and more from the physio and rehab world, with your hosts, Drs. Andrew Rothschild and Erson Religioso.
Try these in your practice. Email my exclusive promo code MMT2 to Helix at helix4pain.com to receive samples of these new professional pain relief creams and find a medical supply distributor near you. You'll get a starter kit with several samples, patient information brochures, and it's a great way to help patients and grow your practice.
Like if you're pitched by a salesperson, what do you think?
I'm usually a little bit like, kind of,
yeah,
whatever.
I would say is at best, right?
Yeah.
So I was asked to go on the Barefoot Science podcast, and I had never heard of Barefoot Science. Have you?
I have not.
They are these, I don't know, I guess they've been around for a while, but I don't know if they're having a bigger push into the market now or what. But they are these orthotics. They either come in 3/4 length or full length, and they have these inserts that are like these foam rectangular, like pill shape, that are about as big as, like, I don't know, the average adult, like half of it, the average adult thumb, and they go right in the center, like, of your medial arch. So in the center of your forefoot, though. So it feels kind of strange. And, they have like level 1 level through level 5 or 6. I don't know how many they have because I have only progressed to level 2. And they're like, hey, do you want to go on this podcast? And, it's sponsored by Barefoot Science, and we're going to send you this orthotics. We want you to try them out. So I said, sure, I'll try them out, So I try them out, and I just think, well, this is like kind of uncomfortable because it feels like someone has a cushion, right in the medial part of my medial arch. And I put them in my house slippers. I put them in my shoes. I just tried wearing them, day after day after day. I wear them for like a week or so. And I noticed, like, eventually I kind of accommodated to them. But when it came time to be on the podcast, I went to the website and I looked at all their claims, and there's like, oh, this study done on nurses and doctors showed that, a significant amount of them had reduction in ankle pain, knee pain, hip pain, low back pain, neck pain, and shoulder tightness and pain. And I just thought, wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So I said, hey, I can go on the podcast, but I'm not going to say, like, I can't make any claims toward this helping all of these things. To me, it's a red flag when something purports to help so many things, right? If this was like, oh, this helps ankle pain, or even maybe potentially all the way up to lumbar pain, I could see, but like when they're saying it helps like shoulder pain and tension or neck pain and headaches, I just think, well, I'm not sure about that, And so immediately I'm skeptical. And I said, sure, that's fine. We're not just looking for a free plug. We just want you to talk about just injury prevention and running or whatever you want to talk about. So I said, yeah, okay. So I'd scheduled the podcasts, and I just went on last Thursday. So, or actually that was yesterday. But between then, I had to delay the podcast. This was a reschedule. When I was originally scheduled to go on, I'd only been wearing them for a week. I was completely asymptomatic, so I didn't have anything to complain about. Then I went camping for a week, and my shoes had gotten wet, my normal shoes. So I had to wear these flip-flops, and I hate wearing flip-flops. And like an idiot, I also had to wear flip-flops with socks because I have this metatarsalgia, and I don't know if you've ever seen, but I sell these like metatarsal pads that go, they're like these sewn in, it's like a silicone pad that's sewn in something that goes around your first and second toe, and it kind of wraps around your foot in an oval, instead of just wearing something like a toe loop. I used to wear something like a silicone pad with a toe loop, but the toe loop was always breaking. So because this one is actually sewn in, and it has like a little strip that, goes in between, kind of like a flip-flop, like between your first and second toes, it stays in. And in these things, like, I don't know if I've ever said this, but my my metatarsalgia, for whatever reason, at one point was so bad before I started wearing these that I was centrally sensitized. Like I couldn't walk barefoot on any kind of uneven ground without severe pain.
Oh
And
wow.
even though, like, after wearing these for several years, I'm back to running and working out and everything, I'm almost afraid not to wear them, even though I've gotten to the point where I think I don't have to wear them anymore. Like, I'm surprised when I can walk around a hardwood floor without, like, even minimal discomfort. But it used to be that I went from, oh, I have to wear padded socks, and then padded socks weren't enough. Then I had to wear these pads, and I had to wear the pads in socks. But the pads eventually, like, desensitized the area to the point where, again, I was running, jumping, whatever, playing metrics, no issues at all. So because I have to wear, so that thing inside my sock also makes my foot quite a bit wider. And the only pair of sandals that I had at the campsite for an entire week were already narrow on me. Um, and my right foot, or the right sandal, is a little bit more narrow. So the entire time I'm like walking around, walking my dogs, still trying to get, walking like a couple miles a day, getting my 10 to 15,000 steps that I normally get. I'm also like not only irritated because I have to wear these sandals in socks, um, but I'm also like trying to repeatedly jam my foot forward because it keeps on slipping backward in the sandal, you know? So this right leg is also the leg that also, when I drive a lot, or when I sit too long, which isn't too often these days, I end up with very much like sciatica like complaints in L4-5 distribution. It's very radicular. I also end up with sometimes paresthesia in my right lateral calf. So that's when I came home, like the last several days of camping, I had that. I tried all my usual stuff like side glides, press ups, lying prolonged, and like a roadkill. None of that stuff was really touching it. So I just thought, oh, it's going to be time. Uh, so I get home, and my leg is still bothering me. I still have paresthesia. It might even be getting a little worse because it was maybe like a 3 hour camping. It was like 4 or 5 by the time I got home, and I thought, oh, it's just because I drove like an hour, you know, sitting in my truck. And then I immediately see my slippers, and my slippers had these insoles in them. And I thought, oh, I just put them on. I didn't think anything was going to happen, but within like 10 minutes of me wearing these insoles, like all my paresthesia went away, and I was like kind of like flabbergasted and upset at first because I told my wife, and she's like, oh, that's interesting. You were wearing those flip flops the whole time, and like your your feet didn't fit, and you were just complaining about that. And do you think it has anything to do with these insoles and your gait, with the slippers? And I'm like, I wouldn't have thought that, but now I do. And so, so I went on a podcast, basically, talking about injury and everything. When they finally brought up these insoles, I had to tell this story that, for whatever reason, and I don't think it was placebo because I didn't expect it at all. I wasn't literally expecting anything. I thought just time would take it away. Because all my normal stuff like neurodynamics and loading, gapping, whatever, I tried everything. Nothing seemed to be touching it. In fact, neurodynamics also seemed to be making it worse.
Mm.
Like, these insoles just made it like go completely away within 10 minutes of wearing.
Wow.
Yeah. So the premise, though, is like, when I looked at their studies a little bit further, is to create more of like a natural kind of tripod. So like this like pill shaped thing in the middle of your foot makes it seem like you're barefoot when you're shod. If you can think about like having like a light pressure in the middle of your foot, it makes your heel and your first metatarsal and your fifth metatarsal contact a little bit better.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's really what happens. They have all this like gait studies on force pressure plates and everything, and EMG studies. But either way, I just explained it from an input and output perspective. I guess it's possible that I filled up the cup, or you know went way negative on the recovery timeline with the way I was walking, and somehow this normalized things and helped me empty the cup faster. I don't know what it was, but now I'm thinking maybe I should try this for like some centrally sensitized patients. Like, just who knows what it is? Maybe they have improper footwear, or so it's another thing for me to try.
Yeah. No, it's very, very intriguing.
Yeah, yeah. I'll send you the website and see what you think.
Yeah,
Just
I'm
FYI,
sure. I'm definitely.
I am not sponsored by them yet.
Yes, yeah. No, I'm
Maybe I'll
definitely.
work on it.
I'm intrigued. I want to check it out.
Yeah, I mean, and I told them too because we talked all about like Born to Run and Irene Davis and stuff, and I told them I was caught up in all that like barefoot stuff, and I tried at the time to go from like an 8 millimeter or 12 millimeter drop to like immediately go to zero drops because reading this book, like so many people, just made me convinced that running barefoot was going to solve all the problems of the world. And I ended up with like calf tendinopathy because I just didn't have like amazing ankle mobility going from 12 millimeter drops.
Oh yeah.
But I
It's
do think that I do say like I do believe that yeah, if you can train barefoot versus shod and you're doing something like kettlebell swings and you have amazing ankle mobility, it's great because there is a ton of proprioception. But so that made me really think like if this does replicate the kind of like proprioception you get from a great tripod, maybe there is something to it.
right. Yeah, I mean that's what it sounds like in terms of combination of proprioception, pressure from like a novel stimulus, from a modulatory standpoint. But
Yeah. Or maybe it's reflexology.
ooh, could be. I've seen the charts.
I know. Every time I see those charts, I just think like, if like this like one point is liver and like 2 millimeters away is your kidney, like how could you possibly be that accurate? Yeah.
Have you seen the fake picture I've posted before on Instagram? Of just every spot is feet, 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 feet.
Oh,
Feet,
right. Yes,
feet,
yes,
feet.
yes. It's time to repost that.
We
But
should.
I also like just want to ask like, how come if I just walk across a bunch of pebbles, like all my organs aren't going crazy? You know what I mean? Like, why is it only like the touch? It's like to someone else's touch or pressure,
Fair
but
enough.
yeah, yeah.
You can't use logic in those discussions.
No, no. All right. So where can people find you, Andrew?
People can find me on Instagram, Twitter at a Rothschild PT primarily.
Yeah, if you guys have any similar stories about where you were skeptical, or maybe even had a lot of faith in product, and you just totally had your world turned upside down either way. You have an interesting or hilarious case or big physio failure, make sure to reach out to us to get on the podcast. Also, rate Untold Physio Stories 5 stars wherever you listen to podcasts. Hit that like or subscribe button. And as always, you guys have a good one.
Through continued research, MyPT Insurance has crafted a policy that is economical and provides you with the peace of mind you need. Your extensive education, training, and experience as a PT allows you to assist clients in achieving their personal health goals. By practicing without individual professional liability insurance, you could be placing your career and future finances at risk. Whether you're a student, self-employed, or employed with a company, MyPT Insurance is here to provide affordable insurance coverage while protecting you and your patients. MyPT Insurance's plan also includes mobile coverage, which means it follows you wherever you work in the United States. Employed rates and self-employed rates are available. Visit myptinsurance.com/edge to sign up today.